Hey, y'all, welcome back to the podcast for more Married at First Sight commentary. I'm coming back to you with episodes 5 through 8. If you haven't checked out episodes 1 through 4 on my first episode, check that out first. Hear what I have to say about the couples. And so I'm going to just go by each couple. I feel like that is the easiest way to do it because if I just go by each episode as opposed to each couple, it can get really long and drawn out. So, without further ado, let's start off with Marissa and Adam. Now, I really liked these two with together with the first 4 episodes. I feel like they really understood the assignment, and then even moving through the end of the honeymoon, they seemed to really just be spending the time enjoying each other, not getting too serious. One thing that bothered me about Adam is he starts eating that steak with his hands and then feeds it to her with his hands. It's just, I feel like he's always trying to find some way to test her to see if she'll say something or that he could, any way maybe he could potentially piss her off. Um, eh, it just feels like some of these things are like a test, to see like if she just go with the flow, like she acts like she is, or if this is actually bothering her more than what she's leaning on. And as we see, I feel like he continuously does this throughout these 4 episodes, especially with the way he dresses. So they had a few different come togethers. They had the first dinner where they all come together. Adam's got this crazy hat on. And you also see how he like cuts an M in his underbeard, which was so stupid. He leaves it there. I thought he was just showing it off in the bathroom, like, oh, look at me cutting an M in my beard. No, no, he went out in public with that thing, y'all. It's just crazy. He's very attention seeking. And like I said, remember, his parents did not show up. His sister did not show up for his wedding, nor did his grandma. I don't know if that's been his whole experience with this family, where he's had to constantly been fighting for attention. His parents are going on an Iceland trip. I don't know if his parents left him behind a lot, if he comes from maybe money and was raised by a nanny or something. It's giving those vibes where he's constantly seeking attention and testing to see if Marissa will push back or try to change him, right? Or make him fit in. I feel like he is testing her. And her patience is eventually going to run thin. And I don't know if he wants to see what that looks like. But he's dressed wild at the dinner, and then also when they at the end when they get together with the experts and they're doing their therapy, he's also again walks in with his shirt all undone, looking a mess, not taking things seriously. And I'm trying to I'm wondering if this is another thing why his parents, like I've mentioned before, that I don't think his parents take him seriously. If this is the type of behavior that he has, I see why they don't. Because like why are you doing this? Why are you being so attention seeking? I think he's probably been like that his whole life. They finally see each other's houses because they're going home. Adam lives like his house looks like a frat house, and the worst kind. Like if you remember going to that smelly frat house that smelled like beer, his just doesn't smell like beer because he doesn't drink. But it's clearly dirty. I'm sure there's like inches worth of dust. There's like a billion plants in the house. A couple of plants I'm cool with. I don't want to be in any house that's cluttered with stuff and plants. He's got like saws or axes in the ceiling. Why? It just looks like the sheets probably haven't been washed in a long time, and neither have the toilets. And I, as a woman, I would not want to move into there. Those are the type of places that you only go when it's dark out and there's candle light only, and then you leave before day. Because I don't want to see it when the lights turn on at all, because you won't be happy with what you see. Because when you contrast that with Marissa's house, I mean, her house looks like it came out of a Crate and Barrel magazine. I mean, it looks like a modern living house. It's got like beautiful clean shower. It's sparkling. It's stunning. Everything's so aesthetically pleasing and beige. I mean, it's like night and day, complete night and day. So I don't know how that's going to work. She says she can suck it up for a year and live in that lake house so they can buy a house together on the water. We'll see. I don't. A year feels like a short amount of time until you're in it, and then it feels like an eternity. So I don't know how long that's going to last. I also don't understand why he can't come live with you for a year until you save enough to buy a nice house together on the water. Like there was no accommodation made, and I feel like that he's making no sacrifice. He's just expecting her to make the sacrifice of living in a place with a tarp on it, that he's letting random homeless men live in. Like, give me a break. They do like a paint and sip night. I always love a good paint night. And this is the one, I'm sure you guys have seen the viral run where people are drawing their partner. And you can tell she actually put real effort into hers because it actually looked like him. The one he did, again, he's very attention seeking. And it's not even in a nice way. And she has to giggle through it like it's not ridiculous that he would draw her the way he did, but she's just so people pleasing through this situation that I think in any normal circumstance she would be like, this is so ridiculous, like you didn't even try or attempt it, like it's not even funny. And I think if you don't think about that moving forward, like you raise children with men like this, it that could be very difficult. And I don't think she should forget this moment. They end up getting to the point where at the end of the episode 8 where they're all getting together to do their therapy sessions, and Paul asks them like, have you guys really had any serious conversations? And he also calls Adam to the carpet about his attire and was like you're full of shit, basically, like you're not taking this seriously and I don't understand what this is, but stop. Like, you clearly haven't had any real conversations. And everyone else tries to jump into and like pressure them on, have you guys had real conversations? And they haven't. Paul asked Marissa, have you talked to him about your father? And she's like, no. And she gets emotional and talks about that relationship. And who tries to kind of like a joke, like he can't stay serious the whole time. He's trying to like lighten the mood. And I'm just like, if this isn't a lighten the mood situation, like this is going to be something that impacts her for the foreseeable future. And it might be something she'll have to go to therapy around so that way it doesn't negatively impact your relationship. But I do believe, I go back and forth on this because I do believe at some point they need to have more serious conversations, because I don't know how much, I don't know if maybe Adam is like this because he said he's been to years of therapy, but I don't see where the work happened. Like, who was he before the therapy is my question. And if this is the result of years of therapy, I'm very concerned because his behavior does not give that. And I don't like to call people a narcissist or whatever. I don't know what's going on, but there's a gap there. But if you can't have those tough conversations and you can't hold people really accountable, I just don't foresee this relationship continuing in the future, you know, being a good situation for all parties involved. So we'll see how this continues. I'm excited to see them maybe have some more tougher conversations, but I still want them to keep their fun, flirty banter because I feel like that's what allowed these two to have such immediate chemistry, because they kept it fun and free and flirty during the honeymoon, and they didn't just immediately jump into these hard-hitting questions. They actually treated it like they were actually dating. Moving on to Mecca Amen and Beljolie. So they're called themselves Becca. They've got themselves a ship name, which is cute. But they ended up having a conversation towards the end of episode 4 where Mecca had the audacity to ask her. Was it an episode? Is it the end of episode 4 or the beginning of episode 5? One of the two. But Mecca asks Beljolie, do you think one of us is more attracted to each other than the other? Or to, so like, do you think you're more attracted to me or I'm more attracted to you? And she's like, that's kind of a weird question. Like, I don't know. That's a good question. It's not a good question. I don't even know why you would ask that, but okay. And she's like, I don't even know how I would answer it. She's like, do you have an answer to that? And this is when he says he thinks she's like 150% attracted to him and he's maybe like 80%. And then he changes it to her being 80% and him 60%. The bottom line is he's calling it out, saying that he believes she is more attracted to him than he is to her. Now, I don't know if this is true or not. It could be, but that's not something a woman wants to hear from a guy. I'm just telling you flat out, no woman wants to hear that. Um, I don't know what. And again, this is one of those communication things where I'm thinking his dad has taught him everything he knows about how to communicate with women, and his dad can't keep a woman. So probably the wrong person to take advice and relationship advice from. But once he did that, Belgia Lee kind of shut off. She was like, "Oh, I'm falling all the way back," and that's exactly what she did. And you see that play out in the next episodes from 5 through 8, where she is not as lovey-dovey. She's not going out of her way. If they're gonna kiss, it's because he had to make the attempt to do it. We also find out that these two had never made out. Like all their kisses have just been little pecks. They're still kind of friend zoning it. And the doctor, I believe this was, they were talking to Dr. Lisa, and she's like, "Hey, y'all just need to go for it. Like rip the band-aid off. She's giving you the open cue. She's saying, I'm happy, I'm willing, I'm ready. You just got to rip the band-aid off and go for it." And they eventually end up doing that. They end up sleeping together. And then they go to but before that, they ended up going to dinner with the whole group. And Mecca has a moment where they're kind of calling him out for the connection because they're the friend zoning. And he and she brings up this moment where he says, "I think you're more attracted to me than I am to you." And he goes all around the mulberry bush, but he brings up something about her backside, which is very demoralizing and demeaning. I don't know any woman that wants to be spoken about in that way in front of friends or even strangers or friends, anybody. It was just really weird and odd, very performative. And it's so funny because when they're all in the counseling session, Michelle calls it out as performative. And because Belle Jolie is trying to be the good wife, she defends it as opposed to, saying, "Hey, no, she was spot on with that, Mecca. Like, it was performative." So I don't know what's going to happen with them. They've been called out by the doctors and by the therapist and by their peers, and I feel like she's very bought in. I feel like if it doesn't work, it's literally going to be on him that it doesn't work. He's not going to be ready for it or prepared for it. She goes out to work with him. She shows a lot of pride in the work he's doing. And I remember I was, don't laugh at me, but sometimes I like to have a few discussions with Chat GPT about things I'm talking about because it's a clear non-biased response. Like it's not a man or a woman, it's literally a computer. And I'll ask it some questions that I know I want a very non-biased response to. And people think it's crazy or whatever. I don't care. I like it. I feel like it really can help you clear up your thoughts immediately. And one thing that ChatGPT said about if you're trying to figure out if a person is for you, is to ask the question of yourself, do you admire this person more and more as the relationship goes forward? Do you have some admiration for them and the person they are? And you can clearly see that Belle Jolie has those things for Mecca. She talks about how she really appreciated his hard work, that she found him attractive in his uniform, because the way she's looking at it is this is a man that's really dedicated and taking his craft seriously. Doesn't matter if it's porta potties, it's a necessary thing that's needed. And the grandma talks about how, they're one of the only black owned businesses like that in the Pacific Northwest. That's a huge deal. And it's a business she wants to pass down. That's legacy. And I don't care if you're cleaning toilets or whatever you're doing. If it's a business and it provides a way of life and it's a legacy for your family, that's a big deal. And he's found a woman that supports that. And that was one of his insecurities, if you remember from episodes 1 through 4, where he felt like women looked down on him, or it really challenged his self esteem, his career field of choice. And now he's met a woman that does not feel that way. So I'm hoping he doesn't self sabotage this opportunity for himself because I really feel like he has found someone that really supports him, sees him as a strong leader and a good man and a great partner. And if he's not careful, and he'll let his own insecurities completely ruin this opportunity for him. So we'll see. They did also have a discussion about their parents, like missing their mom and dad. And Belle Jolie, I think, doesn't really, she might need to seek some therapy around how she relates to her father being absent, because she talks about the years prior to meeting him, how she used to post on Facebook every Father's Day, saying that she hopes that this man's okay, that she misses him, that she wishes she had this father in her life, so on and so forth. And when she finally meets him, he's not at all what she more than likely had anticipated he would be like in her head meeting your dad for the first time. When it's basically like when the person doesn't live up to the expectation, right? And he kind of like giggles and laughs through it instead of acknowledging with a real empathetic heart uh what she's experiencing. And he should be able to specifically relate to her because he's lost two moms. and he has no relationship with them, just like she has no relationship with her dad. And he asks her if she has daddy issues, and he kind of makes a joke that he like asks for a girl with daddy issues in his request, which I think is so immature. And I think it's just his way of avoiding his own internal conflict with being a motherless son. I mean, a motherless child is an interesting experience, and I'm sure it paints the way he looks at women in general, and specifically black women. So I didn't like how he handled that, and we'll see how that shows up later on down the line. But it's going to rear its ugly head. I just don't foresee that being something that has no impact. Okay, y'all, I'm going to move on to Felipe and Tori. So they're still kind of in the honeymoon phase, and they ultimately do become intimate. But Tori has a weird reaction to that, where she basically, you know how sometimes you'll be in a situation where you're intimate with somebody, and this may you may not relate to this, but I feel like there may have been a time in your life where you've been intimate with a person, and in the middle of it, you're changing your mind on whether or not you want to be doing it, but it's too late at that point. You're already too far down the line, and you finish it and you're done, and now you're starting to overthink everything, and now you're thinking, was this a bad decision? What are going to be the implications of this decision? Now that we've done that, I can't take it back. I can't go back and not do it anymore. And you can tell that she was having a lot of anxiety about that, because I feel like she broke her own boundaries when it came to that, and she didn't stick with her own boundaries, and now she's regretting it. And she's like, I really wanted to take my time, because I think she recognized that Felipe is one of those people that it starts to lose the passion and the magic for him pretty quickly. And I bet you it loses the luster for him as soon as you sleep with him. And you can already see him kind of setting the scenario up as if he's going to be a cheater, or he's going to say that he can't commit because of that. And I feel like she knew that it would be a eventual setup for her to do that. So I don't know, you guys. That really stood out for me. We'll see how they go. They end up having like a little brunch with his mom and dad, and he brings up this same thing with his dad and says, "Well, for her, I'm going to stay faithful." And it's like it shouldn't have anything to do with her. You should want this for yourself. Commit to yourself. And his dad points out, like, life is not always going to be this overstimulating, and endorphin boosting moment. It's not going to just be all pie in the sky. At some point, you're going to run into a situation in a relationship where things are not perfect. And that means you're just going to go out and cheat every single time something's not perfect, or you're going to run every time it's not perfect, and full of passion. And especially when women start having children, I mean, even during the pregnancy, after the pregnancy, like, you're not feeling your best. You don't feel your sexiest. Your body feels all out of whack. Your hormones are all over the place. And you want her to be, busting it down low and spreading it wide. Like, it's not going to be that way. And so if he's basing his investment in relationships on whether or not you can constantly keep him motivated and activated, that's going to be an issue. And I don't know how that's going to work for them moving forward. On all the meetups, Felipe had so much to say. He was just opening his mouth too much for me. I feel like this man does not have a long enough track record of being in any relationship to be giving any commentary to anybody about what you should or should not be doing. I'm just, he's not the person I'm going to for that. And I feel like he had a lot to say. I do like, I will call out early, we'll talk about it later, but I do like that he calls out to David, I'm not sorry, to Nick with Courtney, saying, how does it feel to be rejected by your wife? Now that's one thing that he got 100% right, and he called that out, baby, and I'm glad he did, because we all noticed it. So we'll keep watching Felipe and Tori. We'll see if they can get over this hurdle, but I could just see that being an issue for them moving forward. For Sean and Nikki, oh Lord, y'all, I I'm not. I just feel like he's still very performative, and low key, she's a little performative too, because she doesn't want to be looked at as the evil person. But I I will say this: they did start off with all the hard questions and the arguing. They kind of got that out of the way in the first week or so. And now they're finally getting to the place that I said Marissa and Adam started at, which is the flirty, just having fun, experiencing each other portion. If they would have started out that way, I feel like it would have been better, because what they're arguing about are really trivial things. They're not arguing about money or finances. They're not arguing about cheating. Like, they're not arguing about any of those things. Family. They're literally arguing to be arguing. And and Sean is trying to test this woman because I don't think he really wants to be with a woman. I'm just because I feel like they gave him the perfect woman for him if he liked women, but he doesn't. So he's trying to wiggle his way out of this and like not be so fully invested. And the whole sexual component is really just to, in my opinion, to be on TV and show people that he's straight. But I'm not buying the whole thing. They Nikki shows up to the dinner with all of them by herself, and everyone asks where he's at. And she's like, "Oh, he had a work thing. He'll be here later." And when they finally get to the table, he shows up and they're sitting down to dinner, and she brings up the issues and concerns. He just basically sits there and doesn't say a word, and he's very manipulative in that way because he knows if he says nothing, it'll make him look like he's the victim. And when they basically tried to make her the bad guy, when she brings up the fact that Sean said she was towering over him at the airport and she's 5'5", she wasn't saying that to talk about his height. She is repeating what this man said to her. And everybody around him was turning it on to her and saying that she was trying to berate his height. And that's not what she was doing. But Sean was being quiet because he was like, "Oh, I got her. I made her look like the bad guy." Like, it was clocked. And she definitely let him know that you just let these people think that I'm the bad guy. You just sat there and watched it happen. And that is exactly what he did, which pissed me off. And then when Devin tried to give him advice, he pulls his phone out and is just completely ignoring what Devin's saying because Devin's 26, so he doesn't think he can learn anything from a 26-year-old. When in fact, Devin seems to be the one that's really embracing the feedback the most. So that really made me sick. Once they finally got together and met with Paul for their like therapy sessions, he asked them to rank their relationship, and she ranks their relationship a 2. This man rates it a 7.5. You can't be that out of touch. So that tells me if it's a 7.5 for you, that means almost all to 95% of the conflict is because of you. And it's only negatively impacting her. It's not negatively impacting you. That's what that says to me. If you could see this as a 7.5. Now they've committed to trying, and it seemed like they were getting better towards the end. But to have that immediate switch, I'm just not buying that the switch happened that quickly for them. I think they've maybe come to the conclusion together that they're like, "Hey, I'm not going to make you look bad. You don't make me look bad. Let's just get through these next few weeks and go on about our merry way." Because that reminds me of, you guys remember in season 18 with Carla, and I forget the name of the guy she was with, but he was not at all attracted to her. And it feels like they just basically settled as friends and said, "Hey, let's get through these few weeks together, and you don't make me look bad, and I don't make you look bad, and we'll call it." Now they acted a fool at the reunion, but during that period they were kind of playing nice with each other. So we'll see what comes from Sean and Nikki. I'm kind of curious as to how this is going to develop as people go back to work and things of that nature, what that looks like. Cameron and Michelle are just as boring as can be because they just seem to be really equally yoked, and they're the only issue that we found, which I'm going to tell you bothers me, is because I feel like other races of women can bring up money and expectations around money, and nobody bats an eye. But when black women bring up a salary in which they'd like for their partner to make, they're immediately called a gold digger and told that they shouldn't have those expectations. And I don't like that double standard at all. Like, I don't like that double standard at all. If Michelle can talk about what her expectations are for salary and and people treat her totally fine, then so can Nikki. And that just really rubs me the wrong way because I see that happen a lot. But Michelle assumes that her person's going to make at least $150,000. Like I told you guys before in my last episode, basketball coaches at a community college, the junior college level where he's at, are not making good money. Those are the entry level positions. And you have to claw your way up to the points where maybe you're working at a D1 or a D2 college and you're actually starting to make decent money, sometimes really, really good money. It takes a while to get there. I'm a Nebraska fan. I think about Fred Hoiberg, who is the basketball coach. He just took the Husker basketball team to the Sweet 16 for the first time. That is a huge deal. My dad played for them. They were in a they were not never went to the tournament. They did really well there in the Big Ten back then, but they were never a full complete team of that caliber. So to think that he was able to do that when I first met him was like maybe only a couple of years into the job, and he came back to really make a statement. And he got a brand new contract worth a significantly larger amount of money after that tournament win that he had before. But you have to prove that. You have to prove that you can produce with your teams. So that Cameron also talks about how that can be emasculating for him. Like it kind of was like a little bit of a gut punch because I don't think he's ever had a woman tell him like, "Hey, I don't care that you play basketball. Like I need you to make money." When athletes are not really used to hearing someone say you being an athlete is not enough. And this is one of those times where it's kind of being called to the carpet. And I feel like he probably has had some personal insecurities around finances with the job career that he's chosen, which is probably why he's single at 37. Because I'm sure that Michelle's not the only person that's had expectations and wanted to build a family. And I don't know if he's ever had the finances to do that. Just something to think about with them as they move forward. He's going to be out of town for like a week, back at work. We'll see how they handle that first feeling of long distance because that's more than likely what they're going to look like for a little bit, as they're figuring out transitioning and if somebody's going to move or what they're going to do. It's just something interesting to think about. All right, we're going to talk about Nick and MAGA Barbie Courtney. Um, y'all, I don't know if I have the time for this couple. I will say this Nick is very performative, but Nick does not deserve this. Nick does not deserve this. I don't know if Courtney just hates men or that she actually is maybe a closet lesbian or I don't know what it is, but the way in which she constantly finds ways to neg this man, to degrade him, to talk bad about him, to try to bring up insecurities that maybe didn't exist that dealing with her all of a sudden now exist. I don't believe that she's a slow burn. I just don't think she's. I hate to say, I really think she just doesn't like men at all. I think she really should probably try to start dating women, because I think she might find it to be a better experience for her, and she'll feel more comfortable and able to like kind of own her, um, strong woman vibes. I just feel like that has not worked for her when dating men, and it's put her in very vulnerable positions where she's just kind of giving away her body and then feeling gross about it after and not liking it and feeling like there's an expectation of that. I just feel like she should really try to go on a date with a woman. And I think her conservative background is what's holding her back, and I think that's connected to her family. And I don't even know if that's really her identity, if she really believes those things, or if that's what she's been told she believes because of her family and because she hasn't looked outside of her bubble. She's kind of just been a bubble kid. But she's not a nice person, y'all. She's very unlikable, and very insecure, and erratic, like very erratic and like anxious. She's very anxious. She exhausts me. I just want her to stop. Like her mouth is just moving and she's not even connecting what she's saying to what's coming out of her mouth. So it just sounds like a bunch of mess. And it starts to not make sense. And she contradicts herself constantly because she's not fully thinking out her thoughts. And you notice when she does do that, she gets emotional because it makes it so that she's really having to confront her real feelings about something. It gets too real for her. So that's why she talks fast, because she doesn't, it's just everything's feeling too real for her. So she starts talking fast to mask that. And when she brings up saying that Adam is the hottest person, it's like she's trying to find multiple ways to put a dig in on this man. It just never ends. Then they're going to visit her family in Oregon, and she's like, he tells her the only reason why he doesn't really care to move to Oregon because he doesn't really like the weather there. But she gets there, they're walking up to the door, they're holding hands, and she says, "We can't hold hands. They're going to make fun of us." Why would your family make fun of you showing emotion? And I'm starting to think, did you grow up in a house where you were not able to express emotions, where you were not able to show physical affection? There seems to be a real gap there. And her mom gives her a hug, so I can't buy that. When they walk in, they're giving hugs. Even her dad did. So I'm just like, you're clearly grew up in an affectionate family. You jump and hug your sister. So why would they make fun of you? I just don't think she's comfortable even being seen as a pair, as a couple. She has some real hangups with that. And she also has some hangups with sex and things like that. That's why I'm like, there needs to be a reevaluation, because I don't think it's like, do you really want to be loved or don't you? Because you seem to have a lot of hangups with that. And I don't think it has anything to do with being a slow burn. I think she has purposefully put herself in positions where she's went for men that don't want her back. Why is that? Let's talk about that, like in therapy. And like when people are trying to give her feedback, she doesn't accept feedback well. And she ends up trying to flip it on to Nick and saying, well, I just think you men are insecure. And Nick's like, I don't, where did that come from? I have never felt that way. And I don't get that vibe from Nick either. I just think he's edited because he's been on reality TV before. And she talks about, I want him to feel like he can be weird around me. He can't be weird around you because you literally make fun of him and neg him for everything. The man brings up Bill and Ted's, is it Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventures? I think that's what he brings up. And he brings up Keanu Reeves. The lady did not know who Keanu Reeves was. I mean, literally one of the most famous actors of our time. She has not a clue. She cannot be that removed from regular society. I'm not buying it. She's just, I just feel like she's full of it, and she's saying no, she doesn't know. And like, I'm like, girl, he's trying to find a way to relate to you through pop culture, through something, and you are so unrelatable. He can't even find a common ground with a Keanu Reeves opportunity. Like, he can't even find a connection through Keanu Reeves, girl. That's crazy. She's just a mean person. So I don't know what's going to happen from here on out, y'all. We'll see. I just don't see this working, and I want him to run. And even though I think he's kind of problematic, it's no comparison to her. It's just a mess, though. Moving on to Devin and Caitlin. I don't think they're going to make it either. Devin goes to one of her spin classes, so apparently Caitlin also teaches spin, which I love. It. I wish I had that endurance and like that skill to do that. But she's marrying a man that's very athletic, and he was keeping up and he was having a good time. I love that for her. She's met her match, and he didn't make fun of it. He enjoyed it. He's all in. And I feel like he's meeting her where she's at, and she's giving this man crumbs, like absolute crumbs. And then I feel like you get an idea of where this comes from when you meet her friends. She has a friend that like is bragging about the fact that her husband, she doesn't want to be around her husband, and she tells him to stay gone longer. And I don't know if Caitlin really doesn't want to be around him, or if she's been influenced by the women around her. And if I'm Devin, this is a red flag. That friend is a red flag for me. And as soon as he leaves the table, the first thing they want to talk about is why his hair looks the way it does, why he has dyed hair. And when Caitlin says, well, he plays rugby, it's something they do at the beginning of the season. Well, he should not. First off, this man is very handsome. And I honestly, the hair kind of grows on you, to be frank. I mean, it's not that big. It's growing out already. It's fine. I'm sure he'll probably look significantly better if he just went full brunette, but it's not that big of a deal. And it wouldn't be the first thing I would bring up about the guy that I just met, that my friend has married. This isn't love at first sight. This is married at first sight. These people are married. And this is on film. You talking about this man like that. Like, gross. Her friends are gross. Not a fan. If she was a woman, and a man would have talked about a woman like that, I feel like the reaction would be a lot stronger. There's he's trying. They've gone to therapy, and she says they're trying, and they're getting better with their connection, but she still acts, you guys, like it's like pulling teeth for her. And I just feel like he deserves better. I really like him. I just think she doesn't really want to be in a relationship. She needs to get with someone that's long distance, that she only has to see maybe once a week, if that, once every 2 weeks, she should probably be dating a man that lives in Portland because she wouldn't have to see them every day. I feel like that would work better for her. She's some people I think are built for long distance. She's one of those people. She does not need to have a person that's living with her, seeing her, that she's having to deal with on a daily basis. I just do not think that she works well in that environment. We'll see as they move on. I don't think they're going to stay together. I think they're going to be a breakup. So here's where I'm at the end of episode 8 of who I think might make it. Adam and Marissa, we'll see. I mean, from the beginning, they seem very good, and I feel like they might try to at least stick it out after. How long that will last, who knows? But I think that they'll say yes at the end. Mecca and Beljolie, if he can get out of his own way, I think that they'll say yes too. Felipe and Tori, I think, will break up, and the reason is because I don't think Felipe will be able to stay faithful. Sean and Nikki are going to break up because I don't think she'll ever be attracted to him. I don't care how hard she tries. I think Cameron and Michelle will stay together and stay married for a while. I don't think they'll just stay together to get to the reunion and be broke up. Nick and Courtney are definitely breaking up, and I think Devin and Caitlin are also going to break up. So when I look at this, I think maybe 2 to 3 of the 7 couples will stay together. So that's where I'm at right now. Hopefully, you guys stuck around to the end and you had a good time listening. This has been fun. I'm going to do this each week after each 3 episode drop. If you could like my video, share, please subscribe if you're new to the channel. I am trying to build my channel up and it takes time to do that. I have a different channel that I do Sister Wives commentary on, but you can't change the algorithm. Once your channel is doing one thing, you can't just switch it up. So I needed to really build up another channel to be able to do something like this. So if you can help me out with sharing, subscribing, writing some comments, really engaging with the content, that would be great. And I made it a podcast, so you don't have to watch the mini video voiceover. But how are you feeling about the backdrop? I actually am like loving the little backdrop because it looks, or like the video, because it looks exactly like me. And I definitely want that dog. So, anyway, until next time, you guys, thanks for tuning in. See ya.